Reflecting on 2020 and my adult industry goals for 2021 on Pro Cuddle Hustle podcast. Welcome back, returning listeners. How was your New Year's? And if you're new here, hello. My name is Felicity. I'm an off-duty professional cuddler who turned 22 years old on December 29th. I'm curious, how did you find my podcast? On Scented Pansy, whenever people tell me they don't have any money to spend on me, I direct them to my podcast. Anyways, let's get on with the show. I have so many adult industry goals for 2021. Evade COVID-19. Luckily, I didn't get COVID at all in 2020. Launch my official website. I don't have a set date in January yet, but I want to give myself as much time as possible to make it look spick and span. Get on more podcast platforms because I'm the only one who hosts and edits Pro Cuddle Hustle, which is already on over 10 different platforms, but I know I could always do better. In 2020, I wanted to become a stripper, but that never happened. I never heard back from the sex shops and lingerie boutiques I applied to. So maybe in 2021, I can become a bikini barista because there are a few drive-through bikini cafes in my area. Maybe get on at least one calendar. This one absolutely terrifies me, but interview at least 2 professional cuddlers and at least 2 different sex workers for my podcast. I would like to send Valentine's Day cards to some swerkers and arrange a secret Santa amongst swerkers, of course, in December. I would like to send some season's greetings cards to fans. I don't have a set amount in my head. My merch store is Redbubble, so I would like to sell at least 5 things on Redbubble. I've had my birth control since summer of 2017. Nexplanon doesn't last over 4 years, so my 2021 goal is to get a new Nexplanon implant, preferably before August. One of my best friends is April Hayes, and I gave her a stage pole last autumn. I would love to dance in public with April on the pole and lollipop lira. I still have the lollipop lira. If a lira hoop and a pole had a baby, you would get a lollipop lira. Here are the very superficial goals, but surpass 700 followers on my main Twitter, surpass 100 followers on my podcast IG, surpass 500 followers on minivids, make at least $800 on Live It. Live It is a brand new app to the United States, but live streamers get paid for their time. So my goal is to hit at least 40 hours of streaming within the first 22 days of January. If you want my referral link, please hit me up. I promise you my talent agent is very swerker friendly. At least 50 likes on my podcast Facebook. At least 2 subscribers to my Findom fan centro, at least 1 payout from Sext Panther, which is a phone sex operating website, surpass $1,000 in total earnings on Just for Fans, surpass 100 videos on minivids. Minivids is where I sell individual clips. Surpass 400 videos on Stars AVN. I post vertical videos on Stars AVN, so they're all phone recorded, whereas minivids is horizontal and recorded mainly with my professional camera. Upload more private content for Patreon. My Patreon is solely for my podcast. I'm cool with pretty much anyone, at least 18, subbing to my Patreon, but I should upload more Patreon exclusive content. My YouTube channel is entirely dedicated to my podcast, so I would like to get at least 50 subs there. This is a bit far-fetched, but write a book about professional cuddling? It's unrealistic for me to have the entire book published by the end of the year, but I should at the very least get started on my manuscript. Be educated on cryptocurrency. Since I barely know anything about crypto, I'm not gonna say more. Get a heart-shaped ring light. I saw this really cute one online. It glows pink. It's from Kuwait. In USD, it's about $100, which is a lot cheaper than what you can get in America, so it might be worth it. Become proficient at Audacity. This year, I got a brand new Lenovo Legion. laptop. So it uses Audacity for audio editing, and for the life of me, I can't remember the video editing software, but I would like to become proficient at those two. This is also a bit far-fetched, but move in with my boyfriend, because I've never lived with a significant other before. I've never lived without my parents for longer than 9 months. Last but certainly not least, my friend April recently started working at a new club. I've never been to this club in my life, but I would like to support her at least once in 2021. In honor of my recent birthday, since I turned 22, I thought it'd be fitting if I wrote a list of 22 things that I learned in 2020. Don't judge people for what they do during a pandemic. I learned this from watching a YouTube video from Shannon Boodram. I'll probably put it in the show notes. Pretty much everyone is experiencing unprecedented levels of stress. Of course, people are going to behave differently if they're experiencing unprecedented levels of stress. I am not saying this to excuse inexcusable behavior. Stress is not a good enough reason for you to beat your partner or your roommate or whatever. I know a lot of people are making permanent decisions during the pandemic, even though the pandemic is a temporary thing. I say this knowing that I'm a very privileged person. I would highly recommend, in general, not making permanent decisions for temporary problems. Lesson number 2, block men. Block them all. I'm sure 2020 has tested the patience of all of us. I presume that a lot of people, especially women listening to this, hit a breaking point. I'm here to tell you that those people that you've been wanting to block for over a year now, or maybe for just 1 hour, I don't know. I know I definitely have been wanting to block some individuals for over a year now, but I kept thinking, oh no, I gotta give them a chance to learn their lesson. They're not gonna learn. Maybe there are some mothers listening to this, so you are some people's mother. But if you're not a mother, it is not your job to raise some strangers you found on like Tinder who just never stopped checking your IG story every day, even if they got a girlfriend. You don't need to raise these people who are your age or older than you. A lot of these people who are entitled to your free education, they already have a higher college degree than you probably. At this point, they should know how to read. They should know how to critically think. They should know how to Google if they have access to your social media. That's all I'm gonna say. Block them all. Number 4. Fiction novels aren't the only forms of entertainment that need sensitivity readers. With movies, with documentaries, with short films, whatever the medium may be, chances are you need a consultant. You should hire experts in the appropriate field to be your consultant. Do not expect people to work for you for free. Sensitivity readers need to get paid, just like how movie consultants need to get paid. One of the examples that first comes to my mind is when the movie Hustlers, which I think that was released in 2019. But anyways, when the movie Hustlers was released, Spin and Shay, who's a very renowned stripper, said they approached her to be a consultant for that movie, but they didn't offer to pay her. So of course she was like, hell no, you gotta pay your fucking experts. So many movies, TV shows, whatever, they don't hire strippers to be consultants. They don't hire strippers to play the characters who are strippers, and that's very disappointing. I think Sammy Picone, who is a very well-known pole influencer who's never worked in a club, I think she was hired to play a stripper in the Quibi show P-Valley. And I already talked about Sammy Picone drama in my December minisode, so you can listen to that. I would say the literature industry is moving faster than other forms of entertainment, like streaming services, such as Netflix, Quibi. But even within the literature world, it's still regarded that sensitivity readers are meant for fictional novels only. You don't need to hire them for your poetry. You don't really need to hire them for your nonfiction textbooks, which is bizarre to me. You absolutely need to hire sensitivity readers for your textbooks because most textbooks glorify America or glorify Great Britain. Y'all already know what I'm talking about. Textbooks be erasing genocide that happened on Canadian soil. Even if you're writing a memoir, when you talk about other people, you gotta look at it through a, I don't want to say constructive lens, but selfless lens? Anyways, it's one thing if you're talking about yourself and you're like, I tend to have these tics. But it's another if you bring up in your autobiography, this person in my dorm or classroom or whatever, I noticed this about them, and you might use the wrong terminology. You might accidentally say hearing impaired when you meant to say deaf. You might accidentally use slurs not knowing that they're now considered slurs. Yes, it's great how literature has sensitivity readers. Literature could still do better. I would say they're more progressive than other forms of entertainment. So pay your experts. Hire the experienced people in the appropriate fields. Number 5, the Bay Area pole community isn't as stripper friendly as you think. I recently found out that one of the pole studios / pole owners that I liked is not stripper friendly. Without spilling too many details, one of their teachers, she doesn't work there anymore, but one of the teachers is a former exotic dancer, and the owner was very harsh on her for that. I don't know many exotic dancers who were students at that studio, but I don't want to reveal too much about this fiasco. I really want to put it to bed since that studio closed down early in the lockdown. There are some studios who are still standing that aren't as stripper friendly as I wish. Do I think because of some incidents in the past, those need to shut down completely? No. What I think they need to do is to hire strippers and pay them more than what they quote them for consultations, for sensitivity training. A lot of white collar companies in the US now are implementing diversity training, which could mean a plethora of things. But most pole studios in the US are considered small businesses. And I don't think small businesses really have diversity training, but pole studios absolutely need to fucking have sensitivity training conducted by strippers. The only pole studios I can think of which don't need to implement that at least once a year would be the pole studios where the owner is a stripper and they only hire strippers to be their teachers. In my utopian dream, that's what all pole studios would be like. That being said, should there be a pole studio blacklist? Yeah, people could create Google Docs and just send it to certain emails. I don't think it would be very, how do I put this, auspicious for people to post a link to that Google Doc onto their website or just post it directly onto their website, their blacklist. But I guess you could have multiple blacklists, like the level 1 blacklist where they didn't do the most heinous of heinous things, and then your level 2 blacklist where, yes, they indeed did the most heinous of heinous things. I don't want to debate whether or not people should be anonymous when they share their blacklist, or if they should give out their personal information when they're sharing their blacklist. I see the pros and cons in both. But if you were to ask me, I personally don't like being anonymous when it comes to my blacklists. Number 5. The nicest people in your family will backstab you. I understand this is very personal to me. It's not applicable to everyone, but let me speak my truth, okay? I don't think my older sister is listening to this. She got married this year. I know she didn't need to ask me for permission to have a wedding for her own marriage, but anyways, TLDR, she made my younger sibling and I pay over $100 each for the wedding. And my younger sibling and I haven't had any jobs, ain't no paychecks since the beginning of quarantine, unlike my older sister who has worked at least one job. My younger sibling did apply for unemployment benefits, but honestly, they probably make more money from those lawsuits like Tampax than from unemployment. Me, I got $605 from my university in the form of 2 pandemic checks. I know, it's nothing. Side note, the tampon company Tampax recently got sued for the tampons they released in something like 2013 to 2015. And if, I guess, you included your email on the petition, then once the lawsuit is over, you'll get sent like a $16, $10 check in the mail. Yeah, I should have done that. But I didn't know until now, until after the checks were issued. So I understand essential businesses remaining open during a pandemic. I understand people working outside of their home to make ends meet during a pandemic. Backstabbing your family is not an essential business, and you're not going to make any money doing it. You're going to lose money. Number 6, Twitter engagement groups don't raise your income at all. I've been in so many Twitter engagement groups. Okay, if you don't know what that is, it's when several people who are in the same community, I guess, whether it's photography, whether it's art boutiques. The Twitter engagement group can be, oh, anyone's invited, but we cap it at 10 people. It could be only people who have over 5,000 followers can join this group, and you have to retweet, like everything, and follow every single person. It's to raise engagement because, in theory, raising your engagement will rake in more dough, but it don't. It just makes you look spammy. The best engagement groups I've been in were for off-Twitter engagement. Like, I'll find a Twitter engagement group, but all the links will be to ManyVids, because ManyVids does have its own social profile functions where you repost and you like and comment. I mean, yes, it's good to have social media to promote your business, but people really underestimate marketing within the website that you are promoting. I get that so many websites do not have an explore page. A lot of websites do not have a search bar. You can still market within that platform, I promise you. I do use Telegram, which is an app like WhatsApp. I use Telegram for Stars AVN engagement and Just for Fans engagement, but the best things that have come out of that were not likes or comments or follows. The best things that came out of those were sale for sales on Stars AVN. Stars AVN just makes it so easy to do sale for sales. Just for Fans, they have a lot of good stuff, but they have a lot of kinks that need to be worked out. So yeah, it's better if your social media profile has mainly your posts, but there's not that many like replies or quote tweets, but it's mainly you, as opposed to your page just looking like a repost page. Because all of your business promotion gets lost in other people's business promotion. Number 7, an email, newsletter, and website will outlast every social media platform. Facebook outlasted MySpace. Instagram is gonna outlast Facebook. I don't know, man. But Facebook definitely outlasted Bebo. And Pinterest definitely outlasted Tumblr and WeHeartIt. I think Reddit is gonna be around for a while. YouTube is gonna be around for a while. No one fucking uses Dailymotion. I know there are many newsletter services. I don't know how many of them are free. I know there's plenty of great ones that will require either a monthly or yearly subscription. I am not sponsored by any newsletter companies. Do your research. As for website builders, I don't think there are that many, but you could probably find discount codes for website builders on YouTube. Number 8. PPV isn't going to be your biggest source of income, and that's fine. A lot of online workers say that their biggest source of income is their pay-to-view messages. A lot of websites like Lonely Hams have this messaging feature where you have to pay to open a photo or a video or even just a text message. I hear some of them charging $1 for their pay-to-view messages. Some people charge $100 for their pay-to-view messages. Some people literally send pay-to-view messages every single day. I don't know if you can schedule in advance to mass message every day, but some people will mass message every single day. But PPV isn't my biggest source of income. I barely get anything out of it, and that's fine. Number 9, raise your prices every year for inflation. I'm not an economist, but I know that it happens. Inflation doesn't take a break. It happens every single fucking year. So raise your prices accordingly. Now this is going to look different for everyone. Maybe this year you raise your prices on these 3 things, and then next year you raise your prices on another 3 things that you offer. It's your life. You live it how you want. Number 10. Facebook is where creeps show their ass the fastest. There are so many problematic Facebook groups where the intention is for people to meet up in person. And a lot of people will say, well, let's boycott these Facebook groups. Everyone leave those Facebook groups so asshole modmen have less power. I understand the sentiment behind that, but boy, have big following Instagram accounts have messaged me saying, oh, that Facebook group, I literally am in that group still for the same reason as you. So I can keep my blacklist updated. When I talk about my blacklist of people on Facebook and Instagram, I'm mainly talking about photographers. I call them photographers. That's an Feaux, tographers, which means fake in French. Correct me if I'm wrong. With Facebook, you have a search bar within Facebook groups. So you could search up someone's name and it'll tell you almost every single comment and picture and whatever within that group. I don't think individual Facebook profiles have a search bar. It is so valuable for that search bar to exist within Facebook groups, and you cannot use the search bar within a group if that group is private and you aren't a member. And also, when people are like, okay, prove it to me that I shouldn't trust this photographer. Oh bitch, I always have the receipts. You know your girl always has the receipts. When I speak, I know what I'm talking about. That being said, if it would make you feel more comfortable, create a burner Facebook account and join those problematic Facebook groups. Protect your privacy. I don't really share my photographer's blacklist on Twitter, but if you DM me on Twitter, I will send you my blacklist and other resources purely dedicated to like shitty model management. 11. Throw away clothes that are moldy. Before 2020, I had never had any clothes grow mold. Since this is a disgusting topic, I'll let you know very quickly why this is on my list. Yes, you can clean clothes that are moldy. There's so many ways you can do it. The method I tried was boiling clothes. Yes, after you clean your clothes, it's clean, but it's still gonna have those mold stains, and I'd rather not be clean but look dirty, so just throw those away. 12. Most white femininity YouTubers are scammers. I'm not gonna name any names, but if you're familiar with the quote-unquote femininity side of YouTube, you probably already know what I'm talking about. If you're not familiar, I suggest not looking it up because you don't need that in your life. The femininity YouTubers that I like the most are run by black women, and unfortunately, those YouTube channels get targeted for harassment and are defamed so often. I hope they hire lawyers and get that cease and desist over with. If you need recommendations for femininity YouTubers, I got you. 13. Therapy is overrated and probably always will be. Don't spend ridiculous amounts of money for shitty service. Moving on. Download an ARC file as soon as possible. ARC stands for Advanced Reader Copy. I did my first ever ARC read in the summer of 2020. I was sent the email in July. The book launch was in late September, and my dumbass did not download the file immediately after I read the email. I had to message the author again in like late August, so a month later, saying that the link was broken, and she goes, oh, I'm sorry, here's the file. Thankfully, it worked the second time, but that problem could have been avoided if I had just downloaded it when I received the email. And then I'm guessing the author found out when I emailed her back that I hadn't started reading the book within a month of receiving her email and within a month of her book being released. And since I started reading late, I didn't finish reading the book in time. I left a book review maybe 2 days after the official launch, but I know I can do better, and I will. I recently came across the website NetGallery, which is a website entirely dedicated to finding ARC readers. If you have ever been an ARC reader, whether you were recruited through NetGallery or not, let me know what that was like for you. Number 15, your prices don't need to be the same everywhere for the same services. So this advice, again, is mainly for the self-employed sexy workers. So different websites will take different percentage of commission. So it is okay to price a service higher or price a video higher on websites that take out a higher percentage. If your customers complain, explain to them why. And if they still complain, well, fuck them. And business strategy for doing this. On one website where you have more traffic, you can price things, I guess, $5 lower, $10 lower than websites that don't have as much consumer traffic, and be like, hey, by the way, I really like this conversation. I do sell my used panties on multiple platforms, but since I like you so much, I'm gonna sell you this pair of panties for $10 cheaper, $15, $20 cheaper than on the other website I'm on. Because these cogs and gears turn in your head like, oh my gosh, I can get this thing that I want on a different website for cheaper. Of course I'm gonna go for that deal. I don't wanna let this opportunity slip away from my grasp. Number 16, you don't need to send out PPV to everyone in your inbox. On mini vids, there is no mass message feature. I have to copy and paste my message individually for over 200 people, and starting out, I used to message every single person who followed me, every single person who has ever, I think, liked a video from me, every single person who has ever individually bought a video but never subscribed to my monthly membership or followed me. I used to message everyone. And on the bright side, Minivids tells you if someone has read your messages. And even if people hadn't read my messages, I guess you could say I hounded people who didn't even acknowledge my existence, at least in my inbox. It's difficult to make regulars on clip selling websites. Chances are, if you have a regular customer, it's because they routinely order custom videos from you. So with the whole inbox pay to view message thing, I now only send them out to people who at the very least read my messages. If someone buys something through my inbox, then I'll give them space for like 3 weeks, 2 weeks. But I'm not just going to stop sending pay to view messages to people after they purchase one $5 thing. 17. Audition ASAP for paid and unpaid opportunities. So when I wrote this, I mainly was thinking about YouTube because I had applied to appear in Jubilee videos. No, I didn't. I read about opportunities on Shannon Boodram's website to appear in her YouTube videos. The most recent opportunity I read about was her moments in your life or years in your life you felt unsexy. The application process was a bit weird. Jubilee was very simple. They just had a very simple Google Doc. You could attach your 30-second video file in that Google Doc, except Jubilee was unpaid. You would have to apply for their Spectrum or their Odd One Out videos in order to get paid. But if you had never seen their Spectrum or Odd One Out videos, I highly recommend you do. Those are pretty much the only videos from Jubilee I watch. Some people have made a decent amount of money on Odd One Out. Anyways, the way Shannon Booty accepted submissions was weird. Her blog post said, upload your 1 minute long or 2 minute long video onto YouTube, but make it a unlisted link or a private link, and then send me the link, and then I'll download your video from your private YouTube video. It was weird. I don't understand why that's her process. She was willing to pay every single person who appeared in her video $100 each. If I made it into her more recent YouTube video, I would have made way more money than if I were to appear in an Odd One Out video on Jubilee, because Odd One Out is a game. You have to win the game in order to win money. Moving on. It's better to be on few platforms with lots of traffic to sell your stuff than to be on every selling platform that has little traffic and terrible tech support. There's this one website called Panty Deal. You could argue that Sophia Grey and Panty Deal have more traffic than Scented Pansy, which is the selling platform I recently got verified on. Sophia Grey does not allow you to message buyers. Panty Deal has shit tech support. I'm not gonna make those fucking sacrifices. I'd rather be on a platform that has a lot of traffic, that has good tech support, and allows me to message people first. So that's why I'm on Scented Pansy. But most underwear sellers are on all three platforms: Scented Pansy, All Things Worn, and Panty Deal. Sophia Grey, I feel like people who make accounts there, they're there for 2 months and then they check out. I guess I should mention that I was on Etsy earlier. I guess I should mention that in 2020 I was on Etsy for about 4 months. I tried to sell my Polaroids there. Etsy has a lot of traffic, but a lot of the consumers there aren't there to buy other people's Polaroids. Despite being a very high traffic website, I still had to do all the marketing myself, and it wasn't worth it. I would rather pay one time for a lifetime deal, like with Scented Pansy, than to have to pay per listing every 4 months, which is what Etsy did. It would take a lot longer for me to make money back on Etsy than to make money back from the lifetime payment on Scented Pansy. I mean, I guess I should mention, if you want to start a Depop store, a Poshmark store, Mercari, whatever, those platforms are not going to do the advertising for you. If you want to sell the home decor that you want to get rid of, Facebook groups are probably going to be your best bet, because when you join a Facebook group with over 50,000 members, they're doing the advertising for you. You just put up your listing and then you sit back. In November, I believe, or was it early December? I don't remember, but I sold a iPhone Lightning charger on Facebook Marketplace, and so many people went into my inbox to try to haggle my prices, but I wouldn't step down. I stood my ground, and finally someone decided to buy my Lightning charger at the price I listed. They were willing to drive all the way over to me right after work to give me the cash in exchange for the charging cable. Of course, I chose to meet up in a very public place. I didn't give a stranger my home address. 19. Online contests aren't fair, but they're a good way to get your image/word out. I could do an entire podcast episode on why online contests are unfair, but what I will say, you don't need to be the number 1, number 2, number 3 winner in order to make money through doing contests. I mainly make money through mini-vids contests. I've applied to Stars Avian contests. Those are very difficult. If you're not in the top 75 people in a Stars Avian contest, you basically don't exist. The visibility is pretty good for their contests. They really publicize their contests. They do brand new contests almost every single week. Sometimes their contest is literally 8 hours long. Sometimes their contest is 3 days long. Sometimes their contest is 2 weeks long or longer. And most people who apply for these contests, they'll offer discounts when it comes to paid votes, like $5 solo video, $10 paid vote boy-girl video. You make it work for you. You could make this paid vote 1 month free trial on your subscription website. You can make $15 paid vote one 20 photo set. You make it work for you since it's your life. In addition to not scrolling mindlessly, don't watch social media stories mindlessly, and just stay away from the explore pages on social media. It seems like every social media platform now has a stories option. Twitter just rolled out theirs. If interaction is what you want, Instagram has the best, most interactive stories. They're a great way for doing polls that lasts for only 24 hours. But of course, if you want to do a poll for longer than 24 hours, just make that a tweet. The longest polls on Twitter are 6.5 days long. But if a poll doesn't get much interaction on the first day, they're probably not going to get that many votes after day one. Don't feel obligated to watch literally all of your friends' stories, beginning to end, every single day. I think your friends would rather you not watch their story than to quote unquote watch their story, but just rapid fire tap your phone every single day, all day. And with the explore page stuff, it's just another way to endlessly scroll. 21. It's totally okay to only use social media for business reasons. Social media started out purely for just person-to-person contact, not really person-to-business contact or business-to-person contact. There's plenty of good things to using social media for your own personal reasons. But if you're someone who only wants to use social media for business reasons, that is a-okay. 22 is something I've been procrastinating. Finally, we made it to 22. Be wise about what you volunteer for. I'll tell you all the dates in an episode of Post Hustle Pod. Thank you so much for listening to my podcast. It means the world to me. Happy 2021. If you didn't hear the news already, this year I plan on releasing my podcast episodes to the public every second Sunday and fourth Sunday of the month. As for the first and third, my Patreon supporters will get something a little extra because I like to spoil my patrons. So don't forget to subscribe to my Patreon. My username over there is felicityazura. If you would like to monetarily support me, besides Patreon, I accept tips via Cash App, Venmo, Google Pay, Minivids tip jar, StarsAVN tip jar, allmylinks.com/felicityazura. My name is spelled FELICITYAZURA. Goodbye for now, my dear listeners. I cannot wait to chat with you about all things professional cuddling and sex work in the next episode. You have been listening to episode 12 of Pro Cuddle Hustle podcast.